You ever hear about a car so small, so light, and yet so important it literally changed the future of an entire car company? In 1960, Mazda dropped a bombshell on the Japanese auto scene. But not the kind you'd expect. No V8, no turbo, no fancy logo, just a tiny, smiling two-door coupe that looked like it came straight out of a cartoon. This was the Mazda R360, Mazda's very first production car, and it was weird, wonderful, and shockingly clever. This wasn't just a car, it was a revolution on 4 pint-sized wheels. Today, we're uncovering the secrets behind this micro-machine that made Mazda a household name, from its unusual engineering choices to the wild ideas that were way ahead of its time. And before we go further, smash that subscribe button like you're slamming the trunk on a clown car packed with 17 jugglers and a goat. You're watching Abdi Tech Lab, and we dig deeper than anyone else. Let's rewind to 1960. Back then, Mazda wasn't even really Mazda the way we know it. They were still Toyo Kogyo Company, mostly building 3-wheeled delivery trucks. That's right. This now global car brand was best known for making tuk-tuks and utility carts. So when they decided to make their first ever car, everyone thought, they're going to build a basic workhorse, right? Nope. Mazda instead launched a tiny 2-door coupe called the R360, a microcar that looked like a shrunken space shuttle with an identity crisis. And it wasn't just cute, it was a strategic masterpiece. It was designed to fit the K car category in Japan, ultra-small cars limited by engine size and dimensions for tax and insurance benefits. The R360, it hit all the marks and then some. But what came next shocked everyone. Not only did it sell like crazy, it also stomped the competition so hard, Mazda instantly grabbed over 60% of Japan's K car market. And that was just the beginning. What made the R360 so irresistible? That takes us into some truly odd territory. Under the rear deck lid of this smiley-faced coupe was a V-twin engine. Yep, a 356cc air-cooled 4-stroke V-twin mounted in the back. Sound familiar? That's basically a tiny Harley engine crammed into a rear-engined Porsche layout. The engine produced 16 horsepower and 16 lb-ft of torque. Laughable? Sure. But when you consider that the car weighed just 380 kilograms, that's less than most motorcycles today, it starts making sense. It could hit 84 kilometers per h, 52 miles per hour flat out, and get to 60 kilometers per h in about 25 seconds. Now that's not fast by any stretch, unless you're racing lawnmowers. Still, the goal wasn't speed. It was efficiency and simplicity. And here's where things get funky. The R360 came with a semi-automatic transmission. In 1960, it was a torque converter-based 2-speed that didn't need a clutch. So if you were terrified of driving stick but still wanted to cruise the alleyways of Tokyo like a boss, Mazda had your back. And it doesn't stop there. The R360 didn't just surprise under the hood, it went overboard in the comfort department too. Think Mazda skimped on materials? Think again. This thing had bubble windows, bright chrome trim, and a 2-tone paint job. Some models even came with a plastic sun visor above the windshield, not for blocking the sun really, but just to look classy. Inside, the dashboard was clean, elegant, and had that mid-century modern vibe. You could almost imagine Don Draper trying to squeeze into one of these if he lived in Tokyo. And the seats? Vinyl-covered benches that somehow managed to feel cozy. 2 seats, to be precise. There was no back seat, unless you count the luggage shelf, which could barely fit a lunchbox. But what made it truly impressive was its torsion bar suspension. Instead of traditional springs, Mazda used rubber torsion bars to save space and weight. The result? It rode like a marshmallow. Not sporty, not stiff, but definitely comfy, unless you hit a speed bump. Then you might launch into orbit. But there's something else hidden in this cute package. A trick that Mazda used to dominate the K car market. While other companies were building K cars that were either too expensive or too boring, Mazda aimed for affordable charm. The R360 was priced at just 300,000 yen, which was significantly cheaper than most rivals. But they didn't stop there. Mazda knew people were still hesitant to own cars. So they launched the R360 alongside a brilliant finance program, allowing customers to pay in small monthly installments. It was essentially buy now, pay later, 1960s edition. And it worked like magic. Mazda sold over 23,000 units in the first year alone, unheard of for a brand new car maker. But just like any early success story, the R360 had its issues, and some of them were straight up bizarre. Okay, now we're getting into the funny stuff. First off, no fuel gauge, I'm serious. Instead, the R360 had a sight glass, a little window you had to squint at to check if there was fuel left. If it was empty, congratulations, you now had a very lightweight pushcart. And the air-cooled engine? Great in winter, not so great in summer. Drivers often reported sitting in what felt like a pizza oven on wheels. There was no fan, so the only cooling method was driving faster, which again topped out at 52 miles per hour, and parking the R360, a breeze. You could literally lift the front end by hand. Some owners even turned the car around manually in their driveway. Oh, and the horn! It sounded like a dying goose. Not intimidating. Unless your goal was to confuse pedestrians, but all these quirks only added to its charm. And that charm has made it weirdly collectible today. Fast forward to today, and the R360 has become a cult classic, especially among Japanese microcar collectors. Why? Because it represents a pure, unfiltered moment in Mazda's history. No corporate fluff, no marketing gimmicks, just raw innovation in its tiniest, quirkiest form. Fully restored models are now fetching anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000 depending on condition. That's right. A car once dismissed as a budget clown car is now more expensive than some modern Mazdas. And the crazy part? Parts are still out there. Because Mazda quietly supported this model for decades with spares. Some collectors even swap in modern batteries and convert these into electric micro-EVs for city driving. Talk about future-proof. But what if I told you that the R360's spirit might just return in Mazda's future lineup? Here's the twist that no one's ready for. Rumours have been flying that Mazda could revive a K-size city EV. Quietly, they've filed patents, tested tiny electric concepts, and hinted at nostalgia-inspired designs. Imagine a modern R360, electric, efficient, adorable, and perfect for urban life. With the way EVs are heading and the growing demand for compact city cars, a modern-day R360 remake isn't just a dream, it could actually be a strategy. Mazda's entire philosophy of Jinba Itai, the harmony between car and driver, started with the R360, a car that, despite its flaws, made people fall in love with driving again. If Mazda brings that spirit back, oh man, the roads are going to get weird again, and we love that. So what did we really learn from the R360? That sometimes greatness starts small. That innovation doesn't need to be loud or powerful, it just needs to be smart. Mazda could have played it safe, but instead they rolled out a wacky, lovable, slightly unhinged microcar that defied expectations and ended up shaping the future of the brand. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten automotive history, smash that like button, drop a comment about the quirkiest car you've ever seen, and don't forget to subscribe to ABD Tech Lab, where the smallest cars often carry the biggest stories. Until next time, keep your wheels turning and your engines weird.